live. Welcome, my internet friends. I want you to meet my friend Tommy. Tommy, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. And why are you here in my home today, Tommy?
I'm here because I do not understand all this Aurora HDR, and Trey has kindly said that he'll teach me.
And I thought as long as I was teaching you, I would just share our little teaching session with the world.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, Tommy, I must say you're quite the social butterfly. You know why I say this?
Now, why do you say this? This is going on.
So we're here in Queenstown, right? Small town, and I don't go out much. I'm really kind of a hermit. I stay here or I'm out in my studio. I really don't go out much. But every time I go out, I see Tommy. He's always there.
But then you're always there when I'm out as well.
It is, but I get the assumption you're out just all the time, and I happen to see you. This is a logical conclusion of mine.
that you've come up with.
Yeah. But you're my kind of guy because you're kind of a mild-mannered partier. Right?
Say mild-mannered.
Would you say you're an introvert like me?
An introvert?
Or are you an extrovert?
I don't know. I think I'd be in the middle somewhere. Sometimes.
And you're a big-time photographer. Yes, what do you shoot with?
Canon.
Canon.
Yeah.
And what kind of, do you work with clients, or what's your game?
Mainly sort of editorial for a newspaper, English newspaper, Mail on Sunday, and other stuff, sort of commercial stuff, say Audi and a few people like that. But majority is sort of editorial and sports photography.
And you just showed me these incredible shots you did with Audi, and you used a new toy. What did you use?
New lens, 100 to 400 mil Canon lens.
Yes.
Which they've just come out with.
You're kind of blocked out there. I got to turn the camera
good.
here.
I don't mind being blocked out.
You're kind of blocked out by the corner there. Let me flip this thing over.
Which was great.
And you also used a Phantom, yes?
Yes. Yeah. Well, my boy did because he understands it a wee bit better than I.
Who was flying it when you took those shots?
He was flying, and I was trying to direct him, and he was ignoring me because he's 12, and that's what he does.
Yeah, they never stop ignoring.
No.
It gets worse.
And then it's so they're his photos from his Phantom.
Right.
That I paid for. But he did a great job, actually. You know, so some of the aerial
Yeah,
stuff.
the photos look crazy.
So the cars they're up in the ice farm, at the snow farm there. So they're just spinning around on the ice, and it's fantastic.
Are they anywhere online that we can see right now?
I don't think they put it online. No, but they've got all their cars up there, the RS6, RS3, and it's a fantastic day.
I might. I have a good offer. When I go to Berlin, Audi has contacted me, and they said, while I'm there, I can drive any car I want to the entire time.
Really?
What would you recommend? I don't really know much about Audis.
I don't know a lot, but I mean, their top one's the R8, but you'd be too scared to touch the accelerator.
I would be.
You'd ride back in Queenstown.
Hey, Candy from Tokyo. Hey, John from the Poconos. It's pretty cool. First viewer from the Poconos. Karen from Ohio. Hey, Mark Dodd. You're on the Metro in Baltimore. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, let's make some sausage here. Okay. There's always a.
I won't be.
There's not even a. With Tommy, there's not even a double entendre. It's like a single entendre.
Is that a good thing?
Well, you just know what you're going to get when you joke around with Tommy. All right, so here we are. Aurora HDR. By the way, we have Aurora HDR 2017 coming out. And I don't think I'm allowed to show it. Let me go see. I talked to the team over there at Mac Fun. I've not gotten the go-ahead to show the new Aurora 2017. But so you have to come back and see how to use that. Okay, but it's more or less the same. Just more features on the new one. Okay, so the original here, let me show the original file. You click on this little eyeball to see the original file, but you can't really see much of a difference, right? Because the effect has been very mild here. We started with these 3 photos. Go away.
I had a dog licking my hand.
That's not a dog. So we started with these 3 photos, okay? 1, 2, and 3, okay? You don't have to use 3 photos, just 1 is fine, okay? And immediately they came into Aurora HDR, they look like this, all right? They already look pretty HDR-y, all right? And the beautiful thing about Aurora HDR is you can make it look very kind of cartoony, like you could argue it does now, or very realistic. I know you're a newspaper man, and I like the realism. But if you want to go artsy, you can go like this too.
Yeah.
The best way to control how HDRE the thing looks is to grab this HDR look right here. Okay, everything, all the meat is here underneath structure, and I know you like to go for the meat. So what we do right here is I'm going to slide this one down to the left, and you can just see how the look will become much more plain, right? And then if I really amp it up, you can see how it gets really eclectic looking, right?
So what are you bringing up when you bring up this?
Well, what's actually happening there is it's this thing called tone mapping. Okay, you can almost think of it as contrast on a very small level, right? So you know what contrast does. You use these tools all the time. So if I increase contrast, you can just see the whole thing just gets a little bit more inky. The blacks get blacker and the whites get whiter, right? Or like very low contrast would be very flat. Right? Yeah. So you can think of what contrast does in a way is it takes the big stuff, like it makes the sky brighter and it makes the ground a little darker, right? So it does kind of big, chunky type movements with the light. But with HDR, it makes that chunky kind of movement, but at a smaller scale. So it's really going down like.
So it's picking up more of the detail.
Right. Like if there's a little bit of blue here in the cloud, what it will do is it will really enhance that. It'll make the blue darker, and it will make the white whiter. But it does it on a very small scale. You can do it even on a smaller scale down here under HDR detail. If you increase this one, it happens at a very, very small scale, right? So it just kind of changes where the tone mapping is happening. Okay. So what I'll usually do is I will play with the HDR look here a little bit on the main level, okay? I might increase the softness a little bit, and then do just a little bit of boost. Okay, if you forget what these do, you just move them back and forth violently to see what they do. Like if you amp all these up all the way to the top, it's just like way super intense, right? And if you ever want to reset anything, by the way, you just double click these to bring it back to more. Oh, once that one is back to normal, the others don't work anymore. So we bring these back. So I'm just going to increase the amount just a little bit and a little bit of softness. Okay, and that's basically like there. It's good enough. That's almost all you have to do. Right. However, I always do some extra things. All right. So, for example, I'll go up here to layers. This is where it's really powerful, and I will add a layer. And let's say I want the sky to look even more like this, so I'll just add more HDR look to the sky. But I only want it on the sky, or maybe in the reflection. So then I'll grab the brush. And now where I click, it will just do that look in it. So now it's just doing that right there, and maybe a little bit down here. If I turn on the mask, you can see where I painted to bring that look out a little bit more. Okay.
And you adjust the softness of your.
Adjust the softness right here? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you mean the edge of the brush?
Yeah, the edge of the brush and the size of the brush.
Yes. So you can use right and left bracket. Bigger or smaller.
Yep. Okay,
just like in Lightroom. And then if you click this thing, you can adjust all the opacity of the brush. It starts at 50%, and how soft it is on the edge.
Right.
See, just like that. Okay, here's another thing you can do, which is pretty nifty. One thing that HDR does do sometimes is it causes some noise in the sky. What is this Gino saying? I think Olympics is the first country to go negative in medal count for the Olympics. What do you and Tommy have to say about that? We're not really killing it, are we?
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah. But, there's a...
Rowing.
Rowing. We always do all of that. Is sailing an event?
Yeah, sailing.
Yachting.
They're about to win gold in the... or if they haven't. Hockey, we've done okay.
Yeah. Is there a sheep shearing event?
There's sheep shearing.
Sheep shagging event.
Oh, we'd win that. We'd win that. And we both know a mutual friend who'd be a fantastic representative for New Zealand.
Right. He might win all the medals.
He might win all of them.
He might win all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I read is that the gold medal only has 2% gold. The rest is silver.
You know that?
Yeah, I thought it was solid gold. What a rip. What a rip off. Actually, one thing most people don't know about the Olympics is that both Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps, they're actually from New Zealand. But they got paid, right? It's a conspiracy from these other countries. Where's Usain from?
Jamaica.
Trinidad and
There's a fantastic
Tobago.
photo of him from winning the 100 metres. Have you seen it?
he was smiling?
Yeah.
That's great, isn't
So,
that?
I think it's a Getty one. I think
Yeah.
Reuters did it as well. But
I thought it was photoshopped. It was so
oh,
perfect.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
You know, because
yeah.
their panning got the movement,
Right.
but he's pin sharp and his.
Just
you
think,
know,
if he would have focused and just pushed a little harder instead of like rubbing in their faces, he could have gotten a world record, a better one. Anyway, all right, back to HDR here. So sometimes when you're messing around with these photos, they get a little too noisy in the sky, right? Too noisy in the sky. So let's do that on purpose, okay? We'll make another layer here, and we'll really increase the HDR look and maybe the HDR detail, okay? This area is really cool down here called HDR denoise, okay?
Right.
So when you increase this, it gets rid of that noise very, very quickly, okay? You can see how much smoother the sky is already.
Yeah.
So you can turn this little orange thing on and off to see the effect. All right, looks really good.
Huge, yeah.
And then if you have really bad noise problems, you can use this super smooth, and you can just look what it does to the sky now. Like it's just really nice, which is kind of another look too, right? It becomes very painterly. It feels like the clouds are kind of moving. All right. So again, I just painted in those areas just to get rid of the noise there. Now I'll show you one more thing. This picture, which I like. I like to look kind of fantasy-like sometimes. There's this area here called image radiance. Okay, you can slide this up here, and it gives everything sort of this fairy tale glow look. Oops, it's a little bit too much. So it's kind of extreme here, so I can turn it on and off. You can especially see it down here in the grasses.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love this effect on grasses. Even the reflection looks kind of cool on water, on sand. It's really
throwing an hole in the shadow, isn't it?
yeah. It's really technically what it is an Orton effect. That's what's happening. That's sort of the technical behind the scenes thing. All right, let's try a different photo because every photo is different. We'll try this one that's HDR works really well with things that are total interiors. I really like this one. Let's bring these into Aurora. Hope this doesn't mess up our broadcast. Again, I tried to get permission to show off Aurora 2017. Didn't get permission, so you guys can't see that. You got to see this one. Don't save. Okay. Now, when you bring it in, you've got options. Okay. Alignment, ghost reduction, and CA reduction. Right. Even when I'm on tripod, I still do alignment because it can still be a little bit off. Right. Ghost reduction is if you have movement. Right. Sometimes if you're trying to do an HDR but Usain Bolt, it's not going to be in the same place. Right. So then you do ghost reduction. We don't need to do that here. I'll just show you what happens. So I click Create HDR, and now you get this thing called Ghost Reduction Options. So you get to choose which frame is going to be your main frame, right? If there's a bird moving or a sheep running away from you, what have you. You pick that one, right? Pick the one where the sheep looks best from behind, for example. Let me see here.
Michael Jordan.
That's true. Oh, can I show you how to use luminosity masks? I will. I'll tell you what, Jason. As soon as I get the green light to do, the Aurora 2017, I'll show you that one. All right, good. This picture's up. This is a cool place. I took this in Dubai. You been to Dubai? Mm-hmm. You might travel more than I do.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't traveled much lately either. Where's your next trip to?
Where is it? Not for work, I don't know. Because my work, you never know until something happens. But unfortunately for me, all the news is happening in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah,
everything's
right.
in Europe at the moment. There's not too much out this way that people are too interested in, except you.
Hey, Patricia Rand from Hollywood, what's going on? If you guys are just tuning in, let us know where you're watching from. It's always interesting. We're editing photos here in Aurora. Teaching my friend Tommy how to do this thing. Obama. Yeah, very under the radar.
Wait till Donald Trump gets a hold of that.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that article that came out that the NSA targeted this guy here? Have you seen that? Yeah, with the new prison thing. They thought he was. They've been spying on him for 4 years, and they thought he was trying to lead some Fijian revolution. It's on the front page here. Where is it?
In the mirror.
Where is it? No, it's a Kiwi guy who's, here we go. New Zealand intel requests and received emails, Facebook chats of Fiji pro-democracy activists. So it's a huge article, and it just came on television in New Zealand about how this guy's been targeted, and he was put on this watch list. They raided his house, all this stuff. When he didn't do anything wrong at all. They just came out, and he's just been. They took away his passport. It's this huge thing. Ridiculous.
And lives in New Zealand.
Lives in New Zealand. Yeah. 45-year-old guy.
Middle-aged.
He's in his prime.
That's what it says. Is that called him a middle-aged man?
So, let me show you the some of these presets down here. Okay. Here's one of my favorite presets. It's called Bible Store Bookmark. It's a good one. And you can see some are more intense than others. Right. Here's one called Chocolate Increases Happiness and Shame. This one is very, you'll see it get very glowy. Okay, this one really has that image radiance amped up quite a bit. How glowy it is.
Did that name just come to you when you were social butterfly?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Here's another one called Horrible Mistakes on Snapchat. Are you a Snapchat user?
No.
No. Good idea. Good idea. Stay away from that thing. So anyway, there's all kinds of different presets you can click on.
That's interesting.
Which one?
The one that's up there now.
The one that's on there?
Yeah.
This one is called, this was Horrible Mistakes on Snapchat. This one is kind of cool too because
Yeah.
it took away all the other colors and just kind of left the red.
Yeah.
If you notice. So one reason these things are kind of cool is because
The Olympics.
Jeffrey, you're asking how am I doing this? I'm using something called Wirecast. I have a tutorial on my YouTube page about how to use Wirecast to do this. So anyway, presets are interesting because when you click on them, you can go through here and see all of my settings, right? To see how I got that look. So it's just sort of a starting point, really. You don't have to use it, but it'll give you different ideas.
So you can work backwards from the preset.
That's right. Here's a cool area. There's an opportunity to talk about this. Top and bottom lighting. So you can increase the tonality of this here, and it makes the whole top part get brighter. Okay. Or you can make the whole top part get darker. It's sort of like an ND filter, right? Very simple.
Yeah.
And then you can adjust, where that point is, or if there's any rotation to it as well.
And blend?
And blend is, like for example, let's say blend was really harsh. Then you would see exactly where that.
Started and finished.
Yeah, it'll be like a dark. So there's like a zero blend there, right? So, glow would be kind of cool here because these are the lights. Glow and image radiance are a little bit different. Glow just makes the lights glow. It gives them more brightness like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite presets. I love it. SmartTone is neat because what SmartTone does when it's down is it only increases the dark areas, the black areas, and the shadowy areas. So you pull this up, and then all the darker areas jump up a little bit. They just jump down, now they're about to jump back up. Just like that. Yeah, pretty cool. Hey, Paul from Australia's Gold Coast. What's going on? Rose from Florida. Very cool. Let me see. So let's just go and do a total reset here. Total reset. You click this right here, completely reset. Let's say you just really mess the whole thing up. Reset it.
So that's the original.
That's the original. There's this area here called tone mapping. And you notice it's closed by default. It's because you really don't have to go in there. Okay. You can go mess with it. I almost never go in there. Mess with it. Typically what I do, this is my standard book. Okay. I come in, I increase the smart tone a little bit. I drop down the highlights, increase the midtones, pull up the shadows, and then I pull up the whites a little bit. But I usually leave the blacks alone. I might even darken them because I like a picture to have some good inky blacks in it, right? And then I also like a little bit of contrast also. I usually don't mess with clarity at all, but I do go and increase the HDR look and the softness and a little bit of boost. I usually don't do HDR detail because it's just too grungy, right? Like if I amp this thing up, you can see what it does to the walls. And if you're into this sort of distressed, dystopian stuff, it's all right. I don't really like it though. I usually don't do any denoise now because it denoises the whole thing, right? And usually I just want the sky denoise, so I'll wait for a layer to do that. Okay. And I do like a little bit of image radiance, give it a little glow, a little bit of colorizing. This is one thing that I don't like about the current Aurora HDR, is that if you click on this eyeball, it's supposed to show you the original, but it's not really the original. That's kind of what it came in looking like after it's had some HDR treatments done to it. For example, let me show you the real original. This is the real original, right?
Yeah.
That is actually, there's three originals, 1, 2, 3. You can see it's just boring, right? It's much different than what it says is the original. It says the original is that, which it isn't. But in 2017, it does actually show the real original, which is better. One reason I say that is because it's good to go look at the original a few times while you're working on it, because otherwise you can get too out of control, right? Because if you're making little changes over time, it's just too much. And even when it does get to be too much, I will come down here into color and I'll just drop down to saturation. Because HDR, some people think HDR is about making things crazy colors. It's not really about that. It's about having relative light levels and tone mapping in different ways. So sometimes by having it be too colorful, it takes away from the effect. So sometimes I will come down here and like desaturate a little bit because it's still an interesting photo. By the way, here's another weird hot tip, internet friends and real life friends, is that if you find your Aurora going slow, just adjust the size of your window, okay? If you're doing it totally full screen, it goes slower, right? If you have it smaller, it goes a little bit faster, okay? Because I know some people like edit like totally full screen, which I usually don't do. I like to keep it kind of small. It keeps it nice and fast. Nice and fast. Let me see what else is going on here. I don't really play with a lot of stuff down below very much. Sometimes I almost never play with the details, but you can, of course. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of glow if I've got some lights. Like in this case, I'll do a little bit of glow. What's cool too is you can change the kind of glow. You can really warm it up, warm up the room, or cool off the room. Cool. Top and bottom lighting, whatever that. Tone curve, basically the same as every other tool. Sometimes to add a little extra contrast, I'll move this one up a little bit, move this one down a little bit of an S curve, gives a little bit of extra oomph. You see, like the before and after, contrasting.
That's nice.
Yeah. This is kind of handy, color filter. Again, one reason we put all this stuff in here is that you don't have to leave and go to Photoshop and leave and go to Lightroom. You can do everything inside this one tool. So if you find the reds too intense, of course you can come in here and you can desaturate the reds or increase the saturation of these things. Same with luminance. One thing we don't have in here is hue, but that's coming with 2017, which is pretty cool. Color toning, this is sort of like cross-processing, right? In that you can push the whites into one direction and push the blacks into another direction. We're not really seeing that effect here too much. And of course, vignetting is obvious. I do like vignetting in here. I think it adds a little something in there. And then there's this other area, which is not to be ignored, called inner light. Okay, so this makes it kind of glow from the inside out. Right? So it's sort of the opposite of you darken from the outside and kind of light from the inside. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'll show you an advanced, we'll do one more picture, I'll show you an advanced maneuver. All right. You're welcome, Katia. Are you? It is improved. Jeffrey, that one for sure. Okay, Let's go find another one. Let's find another sample image. Let's do this one from Tokyo because it's awesome. Are you a Japan fan?
I love Japan. Yep.
Me too. People are so nice.
Yeah.
And it's like photography heaven too, because everyone's cool with you taking their photo. The buildings are cool. Everyone's nice.
Yeah.
Food is good. I love it there. I love it. Okay, here we are. By the way, these are loading pretty fast. These are special files I have that are only 1920 by 1920 pixels across.
What is this taken?
This is taken in Ginza. And what's neat too, Tommy and other people that are watching, is when you start taking HDR photos, you start to notice HDR situations more, right? You're just walking around and you see these light areas and you're like, oh, it's a really good photo.
Yeah.
So it draws me to these kind of things that are very, very good for HDR. These are pretty cool. Pretty cool. But sometimes I just click around on the presets forever. Oh, that was a little too extreme.
How many presets are there?
This was our special new preset pack. I think it's an extra 10 or 15. Mm-hmm. Here's a hot tip. If it is too much, the preset is too much, you can just dial it down to halfway. Look at that. We thought of everything, Tommy.
That's a good one.
We thought of everything. Nice. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to show you this one cool thing. All right. So I'm going to add a layer right here. And you can call the layers whatever you want. I usually don't bother. But then you can click this thing, or you right-click it, okay? And now you have all these choices, okay? You can blend it with overlay. Sometimes look cool. It makes it more intense, okay? But here's the hot thing: is you can let me put it back to normal. Hold on, normal. And then I'm going to go change my source image. Okay, I can make this be the middle exposure. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that is actually, one of the things that went into it. That's the true original, right? So I can go mask. And when I start painting, I will mask in that area. In this case, I think it's too bright down there. Right? It's just a little too hot, so I want to tone it down a little bit. So I brought back the original one, and then I click. And now, wherever I click and paint, it's going to bring back in that sort of original layer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. Anything else to show you? I don't think so. Any other hot questions for me?
If you only work on one picture,
Yes.
not three,
Yes.
what are you doing then?
That's a good question.
That is.
Let's bring in a single photo here. It's fine. Oh, here we go. This is a weird one. I don't know how this will look, but I've been meaning to try this one. Don't save. I really do actually use this a lot to work on just one image. So if you just bring in one image, obviously you don't have the other options.
Yep.
So you do want to use RAWs if you can, because RAWs, they have a lot more light information than the JPEGs. And if you do open up a RAW file like in Photoshop, you could drop it down to exposure levels and bring it up to exposure levels, and you kind of have a bracket. Mm-hmm. So you can make a strong argument that a RAW file has so much light in it, it's pretty much the same as 3 brackets, right? I think you get a little bit better result if you use 3, but as you can see, the result is pretty good already, right? It's pretty nice. You can still push and pull these things in whatever direction you want to. You might end up with some more noise in the sky because it's just trying to do more. You see a little bit of noise up there in the sky. Mm-hmm. Let's drop down the saturation a little bit. Yeah, and so that's actually, I think right now I'm starting to put together the promotional videos for the new Aurora 2017. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus a lot more on using a single image. Because that's, to me, one of the great things about this program is that you don't have to go out and take new photos. right? You can go use all your single frames that you've been taking for years. Years and years. This is a cool area in London. I was there during Chinese New Year. Oh, here's a trick I like to do to make the ground even crazier. Let's see here. You hungry? Are you growling?
It's just going constantly.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was your...
I'm just hoping the microphone's not doing
I don't know if that was your stomach growling or your...
stomach.
Your,
It was my stomach.
I thought it might be your pants stretching. The sound of ripping denim. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to add another layer. We're going to do some reflective action. Okay. So if you want to make the ground look shinier, what I'll do often is I'll come down here to image radiance, really crank it up, increase the brightness a little bit here, well, not too much. And smart colorize is neat because it makes it even more, it's a little too colorful. I mean, really way too much. But anyway, now I'll paint in on the ground. Make it all nice and shiny, shiny, shiny.
So what was that with image radiance?
Image radiance, yeah. So if I turn this on and off, you can see how the ground looks even wetter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right. Next question, if you have one.
Oh,
yes. It is. It is.
It
It does sound like denim ripping.
Disconcerting to sit next to.
It's all right. It's all right.
And then you export as a TIFF or export as...
I usually just export as a JPEG.
Right.
Very high quality JPEG. Right. Yeah, that's what I do. Although a lot of people what do you use to organize your files? Do you use Lightroom?
Yeah, sometimes Photo Mechanic to pick the images, and then the ones to edit I'll put in Lightroom now. But I've only started using Lightroom.
Right.
But that's phenomenal. I think it's, the time now that I spend on editing is about a quarter of what it used to be when I used to open everyone up in Photoshop, and you wait till you unchart masks and you...
Lightroom is great.
But Lightroom is really good.
Well, then what you'll probably want to do is you can right click on an image in Lightroom and bring it into Aurora and save it, and then it will round trip back to Lightroom.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep,
so you don't, right now I'm doing it all standalone, right? And so in that case, all you do is you just say save, and it goes right back to Lightroom. You don't have to do this export thing.
Right.
Makes sense. Round trip it. Another question.
So noise on them, when that denoises that, because some of them they can look noisy, can't they? So
they can. Like
so your best thing is to go denoise.
Yeah, like this. Let's zoom in on the sky, because it's going to be bad. So that's another thing I don't do very often, is I don't zoom in, because it has to reprocess the whole thing, so it's slow.
Yeah. Okay,
but if you are really trying to perfect your image, you do want to go ahead and zoom in. There we go. And so it's nice and noisy up there. Wow, it's slow. Slow boat to Chinatown. What do you think of these?
Burning Man.
These photographs.
Yeah, I've seen this.
You can animate a JPEG.
So now that really confuses me. So does it take a little video film every time you take?
Nope. Let me show you this. There, we weren't going to talk about this, but now we will. Photograph.
So beta, so it's still, is it?
It is available now. It is beta. I think they should say they're talking about it. So if you guys watch the other screen, I'll do a little photograph in the little window. So here's one I did for Catherine, just for fun.
Gentle Catherine.
Catherine. I said, hey, send me, she works at Aurora, the director of marketing for Aurora, my next door neighbor and good friend. And actually, I showed her this effect that I did, because I've been playing with this program, right? And I only had one pouring thing from Mount Difficulty, and she got very angry at me when she saw that. She said, you should use Aurora. And I said, well, send me some stock photos. Let me play. So I made this. Let me show you. So it's a still JPEG. That's the coolest thing about this program is it gives you, like for businesses or whatever, if you have thousands and thousands of stock images, you can turn them all into videos now. Look at that. Look at that.
Now you've got to explain this to me.
Amazing, isn't it? This is a simple one.
So you can do that with any still picture.
With any still picture.
So,
how does that work? Let me show you.
Thank you.
Zoom in on this thing. Okay. Okay, it looks complex, but it's not that bad. Let me zoom in here.
It is.
Let me zoom in. It's pretty easy. Anyone can do it. I've got a tutorial.
Of course you have.
Okay, now, you see these yellow things? These are anchors, okay? Pins,
Yeah.
okay? So nothing will move outside of the pins,
Right.
okay? You can see some of these pins, like this one, have a line on it. That's an animation.
Mm-hmm.
It will draw down that way, okay? You can see I put a little, you can use a brush to mask in a few areas there, because it was kind of pulling the edge of the cup down a little bit too. In fact, it still is if you look closely.
Yeah.
And then I would brush in a few other areas I didn't want it to move, like it was pulling the U in Aurora. So here's another line that comes straight down. And then I only have two other animation points. This one goes here, oh, three more. So this one goes here, and this one kind of goes there, and this one goes to the sideways where the line is spreading out, right? Mm-hmm. And you can just press play to get a little preview. Okay, it'll take just a second to generate. Let me zoom back out. Whoop. And then you'll see this effect. Cool.
That is very cool.
Here, I'll pull up another one.
That'd be really handy for a lot of websites, wouldn't it?
It's great,
for
yeah.
companies.
And because it's really engaging when you see it, either on social media or like on big screens in a store or whatever.
Tunnel Beach.
Tunnel Beach. Let's look at that one.
I love Tunnel Beach.
Let me see. Oh wait. There's one I called Long Beach.
Long
What
Beach.
did I call it? Let me see. I know which one it is anymore. Needing Tunnel Beach. Yeah, let's go with that one. Took this one a couple days ago. A few days ago.
Antarctica.
Yeah. You know what they told me? There was an iceberg that went by there. It's a very TV story. There's an iceberg that went by there
Yeah,
not too long ago. I think there was one this year.
Was it?
And yes, because there was this sheep, Shrek the sheep. There's this sheep that hadn't been shorn in 8 years, right? It was just like all wool. And they took it out and they shaved it on the iceberg.
Yeah.
Which seemed like a thing to do.
They found it years and years ago, and it made.
Oh, is that an old story?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, no, they found the sheep years and years ago, and it became a worldwide thing because it was huge. And there was a picture of the guy holding this sheep around his shoulders, and it was just massive wool.
Okay, here's a more complex one. Okay, Cooper, what do you need? You can go outside. Just a minute. This is the one you just saw, right? So let's zoom in and look at what's going on here. Zoom in. So you can see I put a bunch of anchor points around their head.
How do you
heads.
put the anchor points in there?
Oh, you click here on the animation points.
Yeah.
You just add points. Okay.
So anchor means don't move. Anchor
means don't move, right? And we may change the way this works. Mm-hmm. And then like an anchor that you drag from becomes an animation. Okay, like I'll just do that and we'll see something weird happen on its face, I guess. And then I probably have too many animation points here, but you see they're kind of going in random directions and all this kind of stuff, right? So then let me press play so we can see what it does. Okay. And when you start watching them, you will begin to see stuff repeating. But the smooth thing about these photographs is that it moves and it repeats, but before it repeats, it fades out, and the repeat fades in. So it's got this really smooth thing, right? So and also the preview never looks quite as good because the preview is only at 6 frames per second. But then, there you go, see that? Isn't that cool? Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So it's even smoother when you get it, because then you can click here to export it. You say export as. You have all kinds of options here.
So what? Yeah.
You can export it as a GIF file.
Yep.
or a movie file. You can change its size to whatever you want. And then like when you loop it around, that means it'll be about a minute long. Because
Right.
each loop is about 2 seconds.
So what do you normally save it as? An MP4?
Well, on Facebook, I do it as a GIF file.
Why? Because it's smaller, or?
You can see the fire going there like that. That's all you can do on Facebook is GIFs.
Really?
Yeah, you can do a movie file, but GIF files automatically play and they just loop forever and they're smaller.
Right.
So it's best for that. On Instagram, I do an MP4 file because movies autoplay there. All right. Anyway, let's go back to our original thing here, fixing the sky, fixing all
This is
the
the
noise.
noise thing, isn't it?
Right.
The noise, is it?
So we'll hit plus here to make a new layer.
Why
We don't
a
want to
new
denoise
layer?
because we don't want to denoise the whole thing
Right, okay.
because
yes.
it might ruin some of the texture. Sometimes texture and noise feels like the same thing to the algorithm. Right? So you go down here to HDR denoise and just move up the amount a little bit until it looks better. Do a little smooth amount, smooth. You might want to do a little bit of super smooth until it looks good. And then you would just brush in that part of the sky. Brush in where the noise is. There we go. Yeah, that's how it works. That wasn't a very good example because it wasn't too noisy.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you, Internet. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you for my lesson.
Little flight of fancy. All right, you guys stay awesome. Thanks for all the good questions and comments, and we will see you next time. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing different glasses because I have a mark on my glass. I can't get that off, so I just ordered some more from. Have you ever heard of Warby Parker?
No.
I'll show you Warby Parker when we're done. They're my friends. They are not an official paid sponsor, but I'll show you. It's the best place to get glasses on the world. Okay, everybody. See you next time. Thank you.